Let's talk about dependency injection. The definition I have in mind is short and easy to remember. It goes like this. Class is given dependencies through a constructor, method, or a property. Let me say that again. Class is given dependencies through a constructor, method, or a property. Let's see some examples because it's going to be very clear what I mean. I hope at the end you're going to know when and how to use dependency injection in any situation. Make sure you watch it till the end of the video. Let's begin. First, I want to create a simple class with no dependency at all. I'm going to name my class calculate with one method called add numbers. We simply add numbers together and output as a result. I'm also creating a very simple test case scenario using PHP unit to confirm adding numbers method works correctly. Let's quickly summarize. By this point, we have one class with no dependencies at all. We have one method called addNumbers, which returns results by adding numbers together, and there is no dependency injection. Let's create our first dependency. I'm creating a new class called DB. It contains method called getData and returns fixed two numbers, 3 and 5. Then I initialize DB class and pass it as dependency to our calculate class. I have to change slightly modify structure so that we can support our first dependency. I'm changing add numbers method so that instead of taking numbers as argument, we're using our dependency DB class to get the numbers for us. And finally, I am modifying PHP unit so that I provide multiple scenarios instead of just relying on numbers 3 and 5. By this point, we've created our main class calculate and dependent class DB. We are injecting initialize DB class via constructor into calculate class. By doing that, we're using dependency injection design pattern. So going back to our definition, which says class is given dependencies through a constructor, method, or a property. This also means that if we initialize DB class within our add numbers method, we would not use dependency injection, and we would not follow any of the good code practices. So please don't do that. Finally, I want to show you how to inject our dependencies via method or a property, because this is part of our definition. But by default, please use constructor. So let's, instead of injecting dependency via constructor, we inject it via method. To do that, we simply go to calculate class where we add methods to set our DB dependency and to get our DB dependency. We can now remove constructor part and modify add numbers method to get data via our new getter. As a final example, let's convert dependency injection here from using method to using a property. We go to our main class calculate to remove getter and setter part. Then we can make our property public so that later we can assign our dependency via that property. Finally, we slightly modify our add numbers method in order to get DB from a property, not a method. Ideally, with this approach and one before, we may want to add some additional checks if that dependency is actually set before we start using it. However, with constructor approach, we don't need to do that. And there it is, dependency injection in the simplest form. Let me remind the definition for the last time. Class is given dependencies through a constructor, method, or a property. I hope you learned something new today. I'll see you in the next one.